now we have David Block coming on. David Block is the creator of the Human Experience and a lead singer in Gone Gone Beyond. And he has a recent project called I'm Not Real, where as a center node for community as a musician, David gets to sing and share his heart and share his art and contribute to culture creation just through sharing his skills and his gifts with others, giving us all a place to reflect and discover more of ourselves through what it is that he shares. And so his most recent album launch, I'm Not Real, it's in collaboration with AI, which is a really interesting way to be moving forward. So David, thank you for being here today. I'm really excited to learn more about the project, how you did it, and what it was like being in collaboration with technology when we're usually interfacing with another human being that has an opinion and emotions through the process.
Oh, it's refreshing. There's no opinion. It's great. Um, no, it's well, thanks. Yeah, it's good to see you, and I'm glad I could make it. And yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. Are you calling in from Topanga? Where are you at right now?
I just got back to Topanga. I'm here for a couple days, and then running around here before Burning Man, which is
Oh my goodness. Thank you for making time for this. I know Burning Man's quite the push right now.
totally. But yeah, so I have been working on this project for the last. It's been about 3 months now. It kind of came out of left field, which was interesting. I was very hesitant on working with AI music. I got a message from a friend, I don't know, about 4 months ago with like a brain exploding emoji, and he's like, "Watch this video," and I was like, "Oh, okay, let's see what this is about." And and it was the first time I heard AI music that I I thought was good. That was really like scary good. Um, and then I kind of had a little existential crisis, and then I put it away for a little bit. And then my friend Jeremy Boxer invited me to be a part of this film called "How I Faked My Life with AI," about this guy who fakes his like whole life with AI, which is really interesting. And I did the music or some of the music for it, and I kind of just went down this crazy rabbit hole of what was possible with the technology. And 3 days into it and like working like 12 hours a day, I received this kind of like transmission of this voice that kind of said, "I'm not real." And I was like, whoa, I think I need to explore this. And I've always been such a big creativity evangelist and someone who has been so very uh, an advocate for imaginative thinking and the creative process, and how it's probably, in my opinion, our greatest human resources, our power for imaginative thinking. And here comes this thing with a magic button to create one of the most sacred offerings and magical offerings that humans can do, which is the creation of music. And it has been a wild journey. um, so yeah, that's where things are at right now.
Can you share a little bit about your background as a musician? You know, how long have you been doing this? What are the amount of listens and streams that you have so the audience can get a better understanding for who you are as a musician before we dive into making
Yeah,
AI?
totally. Well, yeah, you're in my studio right now, which has a lots of instruments and currently a massage table in it. Because they're doing massage yesterday,
As
but
all studios should have.
yeah, you can see there's, I don't know, I think we were counting the other day. There's like 50 different instruments from all over the world in here. I play like, roughly 15 to 20 of them. Says it's kind of hard to hear someone on their end. I'm not sure if that's you or me, but can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. It's a little bit soft. I did turn up my volume, but I can hear you. Yeah, maybe
Like,
maybe
I can come a little
lean in.
closer.
You can lean in really close to the camera.
I'll lean in too close. You can see my beard. Um, yeah, I mean, I have been making music and touring for a long time. I think we're around 350 million streams and counting. I've collaborated with a lot of different artists. I'm a huge collaborator, and it's really like the foundation of my work. We've toured all over the world with myself solo or with the band and other artists. Everything from from Red Rocks to Coachella to Lightning in a Bottle and like kind of everything in between. So definitely a lot of adventures. We do 100 shows or 120 shows a year. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. And thank you. I'm glad that you said you discovered the music recently and that you enjoy it.
And how have people been reacting to you working with AI, like other musicians, other people in the community? And for you, when you first found those videos, you said you went through an existential crisis, but yeah,
Mhm.
like what was that as a musician, as somebody who's cultivated an art for a long time and an identity with your voice and your style? What did come up for you?
Well, I mean, I had been making AI art for quite a while with Mid-Journey and making like visual art, and I've collaborated with this visual artist named Android Jones for a long time, and who's a really incredible visual artist if you're not familiar with him. And he, he had this thing. He's like, "Your day will come, David. Your day will come." And I was like, "Ah, whatever." And I mean, I've been playing music since I'm 6 years old. I play a lot of music every day. I've composed and released several hundred songs, and made probably 1,000 more than have ever seen the light of day. And music has always been a very sacred part of my life, and my relationship to music has been less about the commercial exploration and exploitation of music and more about using music as a tool for transformation. And that's always been my focus. Um, and I think when I first heard it, I just knew that the entire landscape of our relationship to music was going to change in a way that it changed, 144 years ago with the invention of recorded music. Um, and I things change, and that is the nature of things. But this is about to be a really big change. Um, I'd say the biggest change for me, and part of my realization with it is you used to have to put a lot of time and effort and fail and fall and get back up and keep going to create um, harmonious, interesting music. You don't need to do that anymore. And it's part incredible, part terrifying because, in a way, for me, failure is such an important part of the creative process. It's how we get to know what we like. It's how we learn our own tastes. There's so much effort that is required to get a beautiful piece of music, that part of the falling down and getting back up again is how we refine our creative process, not just musically, but in any medium. And that part of the creative process is getting smaller. Um, I'm still collaborating with AI in a truly what I feel like very collaborative way, using it as a tool. However, there have been moments where it did spit out something where I was like, I don't even want to touch it. It's so good. And it's distinctly different than I think live music, and that is something I would wanted to talk about today. Are the distinctions between live music and recorded music, and how those two branches are going to, in my opinion, are going to separate even further. But yeah, it's
I'm wondering, that's a really interesting concept, the recorded versus the live music, because it's a skill set to be a performing artist. So many people have stage fright, or they don't want to go on tour and they don't want to move the momentum of their own body, but they want to express their song. And so I'm curious, can we listen to some of your music that you have toured with? Can you give us a sample of your touring music? And then let's listen to a sample of the AI track that you've been releasing.
I I guess I can probably do that if I click. You mean if I click share computer
Yep,
audio or something like
yep.
that?
And if you need help, I can help you with it.
It says you have disabled participant screen sharing.
Let's see here. Meow, meow, meow.
But I guess while you're enabling that, what I would say is I've been DJing out some of my AI music and people have no idea. I mean, I did a full AI DJ set the other day at my album release party, and I didn't tell anyone until after. Uh,
Mm,
and that was people people had people have big feelings about it because they don't understand what's coming, and they should have big feelings about it. In fact, I wish people had bigger feelings about it because it's the implications are so huge of what's going to happen to humanity. It's really impossible to even understand the landscape that we're looking at in like 2 years from now. Like
mhm,
if you're a creator and you're trying to get into the music industry now, I don't even know how to properly advise you because there's what we know, what we don't know, and then what we don't know, we don't know. And what we don't know is so big. It's inconceivably large.
mm,
And because there's very minimal ethics going on right now, there's a it's like the wild wild west of creativity and art and music. So
mhm.
yeah.
What do you think about this? I mean, I'm hearing what you're saying, but also I truly believe, and I imagine this is a common sentiment, the soul is heard in the voice. Like the voice carries the soul, it carries the frequency and the tenor of the instrument that is the body, and the body is our ancestors. The body is all of our life experiences. The body's our diet and our exercise. So how do you find that synthetic voice? Because I know that we can scrape other musicians' voices, right? But like, how
Yeah.
compatible did
Really good. Like terrifying. Like
yeah.
you're gonna freak the fuck out right now.
All
Yeah.
right.
You
All
have
right.
no, you have literally no. And by the way, what I'm going to show you right now is like the Ford Model T version of this, okay? This is not the Tesla model self-driving car. This is like hand cranked piece of shit,
Great.
like worst version of this that it will ever be. So you have to, that's what you really have to understand. Now, it's probably helpful to understand how I'm doing what I'm doing because this is not pure AI music, as in it doesn't come out of the can this way. And there are differences, but I'll just let me type in this so I can pull up some of the AI music here. Um,
Thank you
one,
for walking us through this.
yeah, no worries. It's my pleasure. One of the major distinctions that I think is really important to make is so I sent some of my music the other day to friends, and they were like, "Oh my God, we love this. It sounds like Grimes." So
Mm.
if you're not familiar with the artist Grimes, she's a gigantic artist, and if you listen to her voice isn't real. It's not it was real when it came out of her mouth, but after it was processed to oblivion, it's no longer real. I mean, it's a combination of real, right? It was real, but then it was tuned and processed and tuned again and put through effects and all the things. And the final product of what you listen to is not, in my opinion, a real voice. It's a augmented voice. It would be like if you took a photograph and then put like 40 Instagram filters on it. They're just not the same thing. Um, and one of the biggest challenges and it does this really well anyway, so it's not it's only a matter of time, but people that are born now, like anyone who was born from like 19, let's call it like 90, mid 90s on, even before that, but like definitely from the mid 90s, like if you're born in like 1995 on, your ear is tuned. And I say your ear in general, humanity's ears are tuned. If you're listening to anything mainstream at all, or even if you're not, your ears are going to be tuned to hear things differently than if you were born, 100 years ago Or if you were born, for example, if you're born in India now and you listen to traditional Indian music, your ear is going to be tuned different to what's if you were born in China, if you were born in Africa. That's why mainstream music, I mean, it's becoming more homogenous now, but if you listen to Indian music and who is a pop singer of India 50 years ago versus a pop singer of China versus Frank Sinatra, you might hate Frank Sinatra or you might hate the pop singer of China. It's not because they're not amazing, it's because we're tuned slightly differently, right? Like if you're not tuned to Arabic scales, you're not going to like quarter tones and semitones in music. It's going to sound weird. If you were,
Just like a note on this, that's why I think it's really interesting, a resurgence of sort of ceremonial medicinal music that is primarily focused on the sounds of nature. And that's just something to sort of like dial into. We all have different natural landscapes, soundscapes, but there's something really harmonious and globally congruent with putting sounds of nature into our soundscapes. So just pinging that one.
yeah, I mean, medicine, I mean, the word medicine music is that's an incredibly loose term. You know, there's like medicine music from Bali is gamelan and atonal, and like it's like nothing even in the same dimension of medicine music from South America or from Japan. They're like
You're
not
right.
even
No,
the
you're right.
same, they're not even in the same dimension. I mean, they are in that they are the relation of frequencies to one another, but they're so different. The thing that is similar for me is the intangible, the subtext of the music for healing. That is different. That's a different story, and if we want to talk about that later, we can do that with what I think the difference between some more sacred musics are and like pop music you might hear on the radio. Those things I feel like are a bit more universal with um, across cultures, but the actual sounds themselves, like of a human voice, are like you might hear something like a Chinese old Chinese music, and it's like you're like that does not sound pleasurable to me at all, but it might sound very pleasurable to someone who was raised on it. Whereas, I remember I was visiting Northern California and I was playing Indian music for my friend, and he likes country Americana. The Indian music was like causing him pain. And I was like, it's crazy. Like, this is like the most beautiful music for me, but he's just like, couldn't hear the way, the scales, the actual intervals between them. My point is that people's ears are tuned to think that a human voice sounds auto-tuned, which is kind of a problem. And it makes some of the music that I'm making with AI sound more palatable in a way. I'm not sure if you can hear this, but let's just do a little um, test here. Let's see.
If you
Um,
do, you can do under advanced sharing.
I
Well,
did.
let's just check it. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you hear this?
I am nobody. I have nobody.
You can hear that, right?
Yeah, we can hear it.
All right, so let's listen to this song. Uh,
This isn't real. No, I can feel. No, I can feel free.
this is one example of a song. Um,
Are you
and
able to walk us through how you did this? Like what platforms did you use? How long did it take you? How did you scrape the voice? Like, are there any aspects that you could walk us through today?
yeah, but I'm going to show you one other thing first here of something that of a song. So now I guess and yes, I don't know if you can see my screen, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So let me just tell you about this really quickly because I think it's important. So like that song, first of all, this song came out like 6 weeks ago that has like over 200,000 streams already, right? So there's no ambiguity if people like it or not. It's been added to like thousands and thousands of playlists, and most people don't know it's AI. They just think it's a beautiful song, simple, not overly complicated, very meditative. You could easily listen to that voice and be like, if I'm told you it was AI, you could be like, oh yeah, it's AI, It sounds tuned, sounds auto-tuned. But so does so much music, you know? So the more interesting thing is something like this. Not more interesting, but I mean, I'm gonna fast forward a little bit.
Do you believe me now? Do you believe me now? Listen to my voice. Listen to this song. Listen to my heart. Listen to my heart. Listen to my heart. Do you feel the love? All there is, all there is love. Love. Can you feel it now? Under every stone, it feels the sun and moon. It's inside every home. Holds you when you're alone. Holds you when you're alone.
So, for example, I don't know where this yellow line came from on my screen too. I can't get rid of it.
Yeah, I don't know what that is either, but we can see past it.
See through the strange yellow line. Um, okay, well, for example, that's much harder to tell that that is not a human being, in my opinion. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
in
Oh,
most
and I
people.
love the words too that you're pulling out to play with the irony of AI.
Well, I write all my lyrics for these. Yeah, I'm not using ChatGPT, and part of my journey with this is using it as a um, it's a commentary for me. It's a conceptual art project. Let's say that. Um, it's not just like trying to make music. I want these songs to reflect my inner landscape of what I think a gospel AI would say. Like, do you believe me now? You know,
Mm-hmm.
under every stone, there's love, it fills the sun and moon. Like, and it's like has nothing to do. I've been getting so much flack from people that are like, oh, this isn't music. It's just a bunch of beep boops. And I'm like, I just don't think you understand or know what you're talking about. And most people are afraid, and they should be. It's a scary thing. Um, and they're different. They are distinctly different. Like live music and this are different. And people mix up and they group all music together into one thing. And I went to see Dead and Company the other day, and I had this like, or but between that and I also sat with in an unbelievable ayahuasca ceremony recently where the music was like so transcendent, and I
Mhm.
realized that live music is just a distinctly different thing. There's something being transmitted energetically live that just isn't in a recording, even of the same artist. Like even
Mhm.
if you listen to, I listened to the music from the medicine, the shaman, and I was like, I mean, it's beautiful, but it's not the same dimension of what we're talking about. When I listen to Dead and Company or the Grateful Dead, I'm like, it's cool, but it's not even comparable to the thing live. And there's a distinctly different thing. But anyway, that's another conversation. If you do want to see how I do this, I'm happy to show you.
Yes, please, please, and thank you.
Yeah, this is using Ableton Live. I wish I could get rid of this little yellow line here.
I
Did
wonder
you
if
do?
it's like a no. I don't know what that is.
Okay, well, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, oh, it's a little annoying, but whatever. Um, so when I use two different programs, one's called Suno, one's called Udio. Depends. They're they're very inexpensive, and both in gigantic lawsuits on where they train their models from. But and that's a whole other conversation about IP and who owns ideas, which I think personally is bullshit, but that's because I'm more on like who could own a melody or like who owns something sacred. But humans are really good at
You said that was Suno, and what was the other one?
Udio, Udio. There's gotta be a way to do this. Well, can't seem to do it. So anyway, so you can create a lot of you put in a bunch of words and prompts and genres and things like that, and then it'll pump out ideas. Then I take my ideas and I bring them into this program called Ableton Live. Each row here, you'll see each one of these is a different idea. It is basically the same prompt with the same style and the same song, but generating different versions of it. For example, you'll hear this. Okay, here. Bad example because that was the same thing. Here's something completely different.
You know what? The sound is cutting in and out for us. Is it cutting in and out on your side, or do we need to share audio?
I'm sharing audio, but
You are sharing audio.
yeah, it says share sound. And we can try
Mhm.
again now. Oh, let me see if it's let me see from here actually. If I need to do it from Ableton itself. Um, yeah, try this.
Awesome, thank you.
How about this?
am a passenger. She is a messenger.
Here's another one.
I am a passenger. She is
Here's another one.
all the joy.
Uh, anyway, the point is each one of these things is a different iteration of the exact same thing. Okay.
And how many layers do you have here? How many channels?
One. You can't, they just enabled you to take the vocal out, but it does kind of a shit job, to be totally honest.
Okay.
But I use another AI to help me with things to separate things because there's AI stem separators. There's one called Lalal. There's one called Audio Shake. Audio Shake,
Lala and audio shake.
Lal, and the other one's called Audio Shake. The Audio Shake's a bit more expensive. Like, it's like $1,300 a year. So
Wow.
Yeah, this is not expensive to make at all. AI, the music is obnoxiously cheap. Um, it shouldn't be this cheap.
I feel like that's something that I think is really inspiring to aspiring musicians like me. Making music is like $1,000 a song. You know, that's where you're starting. And at the beginning for a lot of people. And for this, it's like it gives you so many tools to be able to share your art, kind of the same way Mid Journey did for graphic designers that didn't have the skill set.
Yeah, I mean, um, yeah. So I mean, here's the thing. Yeah, I love it. This is AI. I'm like reading through some of the comments here. So yeah, for getting ideas down and like, I have a client that's just hiring me and she's like, I want to find my voice. I want to figure out what I'm gonna do. And she doesn't really know. And realistically, it would cost her, you know, 25,000, $50,000 to try to make a record like this. And the reality is they probably would never be able to do it because and you would have, the pros are you can explore infinite genres, infinite palettes, and like you could say, I want to make like ambient shoegaze calypso music, or I want to make uh funky 70s tech house, or like whatever, and you can just explore infinitely. Those are the pros. The cons, I mean, there's a lot of them also, um, but anyway, without digressing too far, what I do is I'll create like, 50 versions, 100 versions of the same song, and I'll find the unique little parts that I like. Each unique part I highlighted here in pink. I also highlighted some in orange that I thought were other interesting, like this.
She is a messenger. I am the passenger.
And then so there you can hear they're similar, but it's very similar to how I would work with an artist in the studio. Now you can't do this. This is beyond what you can do on the AI programs themselves, right? You can't piece together. I'm sure that will change. You can ish on Udio, but you know, not comparable to what you can do if you're an actual music producer. But you could do this on GarageBand. I mean, we're talking the ultra most basic level of music production. You could do what I'm doing with this. Well, with this, I mean, I've kicked it up way to another level, but that's a whole other story. But yeah, so um, I highlight all these different pieces, and then I move them around, and then that's called arranging, and then I put together a song that I like, and that's how I made the music on this. Um, uh, uh, let's see. Someone said, and I did stop playing it. I don't know if they mean someone said they did or they didn't. I like you is not AI. I like you as a real human. That's Saint Sinner, and she was nominated for a Grammy. Uh,
Oh, it's so good. But I wonder, you're probably getting questions like this all the time, people wanting to know when it started and
well,
yeah.
yeah. The reality is like I'm just being very forward because my people are like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? And for me, I'm doing it because a lot of other people are just going to start using this, and they're just not going to tell anybody. They're going to pretend that they're not doing it. And I think that that's very dangerous. I think it's dangerous for people to not know.
Well, it's still it teases out the concept of what is creativity and what is art and what is music. And like you said, the Balinese gamelan music is going to be a headache to somebody that just wants to listen to wind chimes and wooden flutes, and it's
Actually, those might be more similar, but it might be if you like Billie Eilish, you might not like gamelan. So, like, I think if you like wind.
Even further, you're right. You're right.
No,
But
I mean, like it does. It puts into question what is creative? What does making something mean? What does um that is going to change so dramatically that we can't really conceive of what it really means to make something. And you could argue it all the way up to what people are doing before this, which is with samples or going to sample banks or not playing real instruments. And you know, the number one song on Spotify's viral charts like 8 months ago was a song called Milwaukee, MWAKI, by a guy named Zerb. That sample is an African singer but that sample came from Splice, which is this, where they have samples. So the number one song is a real human voice, but it's a sample. Anyone could use that. Is that count? I mean, like, there's so many different ways to argue this situation right now. And for me, creativity and what is creative, I have a funny story. I love collage, and in a way, like traditional collage with paper and books and scissors and stuff like that and glue. And I went to see this Upright Citizens Brigade, which is an improvisational comedy theater in New York. Incredible, like one of the most incredible improv groups in the world. And they're calling on the audience and they're like, "How was your day today? How was your day today?" And someone called on me. I was like really having a great day. And they're like, "You look really happy." I was like, "Yeah, I had a great day. I made art all day." And they said, "Oh, really? That's interesting. You're a painter, or what kind of art do you make?" I said, "I'm a collage artist." And they started laughing. They're like, "Oh, that's interesting. So you steal one person's art and then you call it your own?" And I said, "No, no, 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 no. I steal at least two and then I call it my own." Okay. And it's art for me, and creativity is about how many choices and how we put our own lens and our own viewpoint on something, on another thing. That can be as much as like Marcel Duchamp signing a toilet. The toilet was already a toilet. He signed it. But the concept of the Dada art movement was, this is what I'm calling art, and I'm going to sign this toilet, and you can fuck yourself if you don't think that this is art. And could be one of the more famous pieces of contemporary art. Um,
I guess
Black,
I-
yeah.
I'm a little bit curious because a piece of this is all about community, right? Everybody that's coming on in the speaker series that's a speaker like you have a community, which is your musical community. And within that, there are the musicians that you collaborate with, as well as the people who receive your music, and then the people who see you live, and all of the ripples that come out of your offering, which is music. How do you think that this is going to change? We already have these like these deep wizards that go so deep into all of the wizardy things, music being one of them, that like don't come out for air, versus those who need companionship for the nourishment to create. Like, how do you think AI is going to affect the community aspect of music?
I mean, on the one hand, it's going to empower people that never considered themselves creative to be creative. And that's the part that I like. I like the part that if, you know, a friend of mine who's like a very well-known producer and musician and extremely accomplished the other day was like, "I don't understand. Da, 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 da." And I told him, I was like, "Look, man, if I asked you if you were creative, you wouldn't hesitate. You would say yes. Not everyone is like you. Most people have tricked themselves into thinking they are not creative, even though creativity is their birthright. So, my hope is that people can have a spark of creativity, right? If they have the spark, then they can ignite a flame. Because right now, the embers are so dim that most people are sleepwalking sheep people that have no idea and don't remember of their creativity. So number one, I think people on an individual will wake up, and then ideally they will find that creating together is really beautiful. I mean, I've enjoyed creating some of the AI music with other people. Like, I'll have someone else in the room and I'll be like, "What do you think is really interesting?" And they'll be like, "Appalachian death metal." And I'll be like, "Cool. I would have never done Appalachian death metal. It sounds not super interesting to me." But I'm like, "But what about Appalachian death metal, but like ambient drone music?" And like, let's see what that you know what I'm saying? So there's still a very collaborative, playful and way of creating with these AI tools. And is it the same as playing instruments together? No, like I just came back from the Ramdas retreat where I'm recording a new album of mantra music where I'm singing mantras with my friend Julieta. And I woke up today and I said I felt I missed singing with her. I missed the feeling of us chanting and like praying and singing together. They're just not the same thing. It's not like one of them is like better or worse. They're just you'd be like, "Oh, do you want coffee or tea?" They're both liquids, but they're not this maybe they both have caffeine, but they're not the same. They're just different things. You can drink both of them. Like just like you can listen to the AI music, you can listen to the mantra music, but they're different. You might be able to make AI mantra music, but it doesn't replace singing with another person or harmonizing or
You know,
right.
it's something, yeah, like running a 5K and running a marathon are two different things, and the training and the experience. And I guess within what you're saying, what I really appreciate is that you're advocating for a positive relationship with technology in a time where there's so much emerging that there's a lot of fear being layered over that, and a lot of fear of losing our creativity or losing our sovereignty, or all of the stories that emerge with technology. And I really believe in uh, catalyzing this technology to be in culture creation in this future. In the talk right before you with Amanda and Chad, we talked a lot about how can we get the messages out there for people to quickly understand how we can create regenerative solutions for the planet and the cascading benefits. And music and art is just one of the many modalities. Um, I'm curious, do you think we would be able to, in about 10 minutes, just create a song together right now? Something pretty JV?
We could. I mean, do you want to do that instead of questions? I mean, I imagine people probably have questions. I mean, I technically probably could do that.
Well, let's put it out there, because I would say, does anybody have questions, or can we ask questions while we do it? I'm curious if somebody has an inspired song prompt for us to collaborate on a very quick AI song.
I mean, the only thing about that is, I mean, technically you could do that. I don't usually use the AI to write my lyrics, so it would be a little bit fast to try to write lyrics, but I would
Okay,
love to.
I guess
uh,
there's background music, so maybe no lyrics, or if anybody's feeling inspired with lyrics, if anybody has lyrics that they would like.
Let's see. Share. I'm gonna share sound. You can see my screen again, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Um,
Okay, so we're in Suno.
okay.
And look how interesting. There's need ideas. We could even be right there. Sylvia's raising her hand. Sylvia, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Um, Speaking of chanting and lyrics, I don't know if this works in this context, but a chant that I do habitually is Loka samasta sukino bhavantu.
It
And I
doesn't
wondered,
doesn't get chance very well right now. And I love that mantra. It's a beautiful mantra. And I like that you made it into kind of like a nursery rhyme there. Uh, but yeah, that's a beautiful chant. I haven't had much success with it. It does do other languages. Like I have my next song coming out is in Portuguese, but it hasn't really got um that in a good way yet.
You know, it's a
Thank you.
translation of that mantra. That's a beautiful mantra. Thank you for sharing. Is may the whole world be happy. We could
Yeah.
do something riffing
Yeah,
on.
may all beings experience peace. I mean, there's a lot of translations to it. And
Yeah,
also,
my understanding is of it is may all beings thrive, and may each of us have a part in that thriving.
lots of translations of it because it's in Sanskrit. And
Absolutely. I offer it for my friend Jody Kessler, from whom I learned that version, who crossed over yesterday. So thank you for this conversation.
beautiful
Mm.
thing. I hope that see, look, that's the point, is because you singing that mantra has nothing to do with music. If it's AI or someone else made it, it has nothing to do with it. It's about your relationship to your own voice or your own instrument, or what, if you played it with a guitar. And that's like, I think the part that why I'm doing this is because on the one hand, I see Maggie Rose says, I don't like AI singing, not as much heart. The truth is, Maggie, I think if I didn't tell you, you wouldn't know. That's the truth. Is like, I was gonna do a competition online. I'm like, I'll bet anyone $5. Not a lot of money. You can take the bet if you want. I'll bet you $5 that I can play you a song that is AI and you won't know. And I'll bet you I'll play you a song that is not AI, that sounds like modern pop music, that you won't be able to tell.
Do that bet. I would love for you to do that bet.
Yeah. And by the way, if you think you can tell now, wait 6 months. Okay. Like that's how fast it's progressing. But the point is, it doesn't matter, because that's not why. I don't know who was just sharing what your name is, Sylvia, which is the name actually also of my new car, and my grandmother, which I love that name so much. And it's not the point. That's not what singing is. It's not what it's about. And you know, uh, yeah, I just don't think that that's what it's about. I think that the point is, for singing is to sing, and for it to be healing, and that when Sylvia is singing that mantra, that is healing for her, to mourn her friend who crossed over, and to send out love to all beings. It doesn't matter about the recording of it. She's not saying like, I need to record this and make it a commercial product to sell. That's, sure, it's an option, but it's not the point of it. And I think we got off base a long time ago as a species with basically everything, that was magical and sacred, from our relationship to the earth, our relationship to food, our relationship to music, our relationship to making love, our relationship to each other. It's all completely like plastic bullshit nonsense relative to like what it can be, you know? Like, and that's what's at stake here. What's at stake with this is, if we don't learn a healthy relationship with these tools. It's like, my main analogy is I ask people where they get food from. Almost everyone's going to say the grocery store, unless they live in some like rural farmland, which is like fewer and fewer people. But if you ask someone 200 years ago where their food came from, they'd say from the earth. And look at our relationship to the earth. Look at our relationship to food. We get our food from the grocery store. We're removed from the process of how it was grown. And we're at risk of being removed from the process of how we make art and music. Where it's about to be magic button, and you're going to think music just comes out of the magic button machine. And it's like, no, that's not where it came from. It comes from our heart and from our soul. And where I would push back on, Maggie's thing, I says, I think vibrationally you can tell. I think vibrationally you can tell that stuff on the top 40 is trash. I can tell you that. Not all of it, but a huge portion of it. Do I think that that music, just because it was made by a human being or a human being singing, is vibrationally better than someone who puts their heart in making a song about the earth with AI? I actually don't think so. I think that vibrationally, you have some pretty low vibrational music that's made by human beings with real instruments, really low.
I think what this brings up is a really interesting concept around selling the voice. You know, when you talk about Grimes and almost all of her, she's like she's a showpiece to something that has taken her voice and turned it into pieces that maybe she didn't sing herself, is what I think I heard you. Um,
No, no, no. It's just that her voice is it's transformed.
got it.
She sings
Yeah,
and it's processed, right? It's
yes.
processed.
It's heavily processed to the
Really-
point where it's not even necessarily what we would think of.
Yeah, I remember like when T-Pain started singing through auto tune or Cher and like, do you
Mhm.
believe in
Yeah.
love?
That's a good
That's
one.
yeah, that's the very first song that used auto tune ever. That's the
Wow.
first one. And Cher can sing really well.
Yeah.
That song isn't her voice. It's not her signature of her soul because it was changed. It was changed through tuning. It's no longer vibrationally Cher. It just sounds like Cher, but modified,
Hmm.
you know?
This is
Uh,
interesting. So Maggie asks if you can use AI, if you have a voice melody, and can it make a background guitar or piano? So let's say you upload,
yes,
I think it says there, upload audio. You can upload a voice and then it will make background audio.
more or less. That's a little bit of a longer tutorial, but yes, you can upload your own. You can just sing a melody into it. You could play a guitar piece into it. You could just hum into it. You could just bang on the table into it. Yes. Yes, you can. It's
Okay.
very quick. It's a very cool process. It's more, we don't have quite the amount of time to do it. Um,
Okay.
and but if you really want just really quickly, I could say, let's see, a 70s funk disco uh sad song about can AI make music as good as people? Boom. It's going to make two versions of it and they will be done in about 30 seconds from now.
Wow. That's
That's
that's all you did.
that's it. Yeah,
You
and
know,
now I mean there's first of all, I do a lot more than that normally.
mhm.
Like I would do custom, I would write all my own lyrics here. I
Yeah,
would, and then I enter my style of music here.
yeah.
Um,
It's good to see how you normally go through it. Thank you for walking us.
In a world where rules were human made, machines have taken over the parade. No more soul in the beat, my friend. An AI's rhythm, it's the end. Hear the sacrifice and simulate the strong. No more bass, it's a digital hum. No.
all right. So you get the idea. Those are pretty cheeseball lyrics and but you get the idea of how fast it can do stuff. And it made two versions, by the way.
Yeah.
In a world where rules were human made, machines have taken over the
You get the idea. So
Wow, this is huge. So I'm going to share your album here, the most recent one where you worked with AI, in the chat. And I mean, David, are you going to do a masterclass series or any kind of course where people that want to go deeper into this can go deeper into it?
I'm thinking about it. You know, I'm hesitant on doing it because I'm
Mhm.
more interested in encouraging people to learn how to play an instrument or play music. I like these things as tools, but I'm hesitant on encouraging everyone else to do them because I have the 50,000 hours of training to do it, right? Like, um, so I've been hesitant on how much I want to encourage people on a mass scale. I have a new client, for example, who's doing something like a private one-on-one thing with me for over the course of 5 days. And I'm incorporating AI in as a discovery tool into how she can find her voice and express herself creatively. And I'm going to encourage her to use AI to discover that, but not to, but she's also a musician and a DJ and everything like that. So I feel more
Mhm.
comfortable. So I'm a little on the fence right now, to be honest, because
That makes sense. So how can people work with you? I'm hearing that you work with clients to support them through their musical discovery. Like, what does that look like?
it depends. 'Cause I don't have a huge amount of time. So, it's people have, if they reach out and it's like right now it's one-on-one. I imagine if people wanted to do like a small group or workshop kind of thing, depending on things, I would be interested in potentially exploring that. And I'm open to looking at like a master class for um I think if I was to ever explore a master class, which I've been thinking about for a long time, it would be how to explore creativity and our creative process more than AI tools for music makers. I think that I would be more interested in people learning how to have a relationship with the creative process itself, other than using AI to um, make more music and that further commercializing music, which is a very tempting thing to do. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm in an inquiry process, and I don't know. It's very new for me, um,
Okay.
and
Well,
yeah.
thank you so much. Does anybody else have any other questions for David here?
Let's see if there was any other things. My pleasure, guys. Thank you.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I would say, if I was to leave everyone with something, I would say that for me, the difference and my edge currently is that you can imbue anything with intention and humanity. I think that we're in a really unique time because one of the things I found so interesting.
Dive into a deeper level of
Oh,
Oh, there you
there we
go.
go. There we go. Ghost in the Machine. Um, I've noticed that, some people have felt like, oh, this sounds, AI, or this is that. But I've had people just straight up crying and listening to some of songs like, this isn't real. And I'm attributing that to the intention that I put into it. And I would encourage everybody to define their why. Like, why are they doing this? I'm doing this to explore the boundaries of, science, spirituality, and art and music. And my intention is to help unify humanity by crossing cultural barriers with art and music. That's why I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I mean, some of my songs are like, let's definitely celebrate and have a beautiful dance party, like the next one that's coming out called Saudade, which is like, Brazilian space funk. But at the end of the day, I want people to dance and celebrate and have their hearts feel connected. And that's what I want. That's why I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I was to leave it in 15 words and understood by a 10-year-old, define your purpose. Take the time to do that. And then you don't have to worry as much about like what medium you're using because you will have a North Star of a why. and we need to define our why instead of our what and our how. We need to first define the why and then let the what and the how unfold.
That's
So,
so beautiful.
yeah.
Writing it down.
Anyway,
Well, David, this has been really rich. And, you know, we came on to talk about music and how you created your album, and you brought in such a deep human aspect of the emotions and the flavor and preferences. And thank you so much for taking the stand that you are for right use of technology is really what I'm hearing, and how we can use that to explore ourselves more. And I will be including your album as well as this information in a follow-up letter that has the replay for everybody. And just thank you again. I hope that we get this masterclass going.
yeah, let's stay in touch about it. Maybe you'll help me make it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All
Love you
right.
guys. Have a